They called her nothing, just a poor maid. They mocked her, ignored her, treated her like she didn't exist. But on the wedding day, everything stopped. The music went silent, the doors opened, and the girl they insulted for months walked in like she owned everything. Because she did, and what she revealed next destroyed them all. Before we begin, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Your support helps this channel grow. Now let's get back to the story. Her name was Lila. In that mansion, she was just the maid, the girl who cleaned after everyone, the girl who stayed quiet, the girl no one respected. Every morning, before the first light touched the sky, Lila was already awake. She would move silently through the long hallways. Her footsteps were soft, her presence almost unnoticed. She cleaned every room with care. She polished every surface until it shined. She washed clothes for people who wore them once and threw them aside. She cooked meals she could never taste, and she served people who never looked her in the eye. But the worst part was not the work. It was the way they treated her. Madame Clara was the heart of that cruelty. She was rich, powerful, feared, and deeply proud. She believed money gave her the right to speak however she wanted, and she used that right every single day.
Why are you so slow?
Clara snapped one morning.
Do you think this is your father's house?
The workers laughed. Lila stood still.
I'm sorry, ma'am,
she said softly. Clara rolled her eyes.
Sorry does not clean floors. Move.
Lila moved, always moving, always working, always silent. But behind that silence, something was growing. The other workers were no better. They laughed when she walked past. They whispered cruel things. They blamed her when something went wrong. One day, a glass vase broke in the living room. No one saw who did it, but all eyes turned to Lila.
She must have done it,
one worker said.
She's always clumsy,
another added. Clara didn't even ask.
Clean it up,
she ordered.
And be careful next time.
Lila knelt down. Her fingers picked up the sharp pieces. One piece cut her skin. A drop of blood fell to the floor. No one noticed, or maybe they didn't care. That night, Lila sat alone in her small room. The pain in her hand was nothing compared to what she felt inside. Slowly, she reached under her bed. She pulled out the wooden box. She opened it carefully. Inside was a ring that did not belong to a maid, a ring that carried power, history, truth. She held it tightly, her eyes filled with emotion.
I'm still here,
she whispered.
And I'm ready.
She unfolded a letter. The paper was old, but the words were clear. Her father's words, strong, protective, full of love. If the time comes, the letter said, you must take back what is yours. Lila closed her eyes. That time had come. The next morning, the mansion was buzzing. Workers ran from one room to another. Flowers arrived in large baskets. Decorators filled the hall with beauty. The wedding was near. Clara's son, Daniel, was getting married. Daniel was not as cruel as his mother, but he was weak. He never spoke against her. He never stopped the insults. He never defended Lila, and that made him just as guilty. The bride, Vanessa, arrived with her family. She stepped out of a luxury car. Her dress was expensive. Her smile was sharp. Her eyes scanned everything. Then she saw Lila, and her expression changed.
Why is she here?
Vanessa asked.
She's a maid,
Clara replied. Vanessa frowned.
Keep her away from me. I don't like the way she looks.
Lila lowered her eyes. But inside, something shifted. The days leading to the wedding were the hardest. Vanessa insulted her constantly.
Don't touch my dress. Stay far from my room. People like you bring bad luck.
The words were heavy, but Lila carried them because she knew very soon everything would change. The night before the wedding, Lila could not sleep. She sat by the window, looking at the lights outside, thinking about her father, thinking about everything that was taken from her, thinking about the moment she had been waiting for. Then she stood up, opened her box, held the ring, and made a decision.
Tomorrow,
She said softly.
everything ends and begins.
The wedding day arrived. The mansion was glowing. Guests filled the hall. Laughter echoed. Music played. Everything looked perfect. Lila stood quietly at the side, holding a tray, watching, waiting. The ceremony began. Vanessa walked down the aisle, beautiful, confident, proud. Daniel smiled, and the guests clapped. The priest spoke.
Do you take.
But before he could finish, the doors opened. Slowly, the sound cut through the moment. Everyone turned, the music stopped, and there she was, Lila, but not the Lila they knew. She was dressed in elegance. Her gown flowed like royalty. Her posture was strong, her eyes fearless. The room fell silent.
What is this?
Clara shouted.
Who allowed her in here?
Security moved forward, but Lila raised her hand.
Stop.
Her voice was calm but powerful, and something about it made everyone pause. She walked forward, step by step. The sound of her heels echoed in the quiet hall. She stopped in front of Clara.
You called me nothing.
Lila said. Clara scoffed.
Because you are nothing.
Lila smiled slightly.
Then why are you shaking?
Clara froze. Lila placed the ring on the table. The moment Clara saw it, her face lost color.
No.
She whispered.
That ring.
Her hands trembled.
I am not your maid.
Lila said.
I am Lila Kingsley,
Gasps filled the room.
daughter of the man whose wealth built everything you see here.
Vanessa stepped back. Daniel's mouth opened. The guests whispered loudly.
This house
Lila continued.
was never yours. You stole it.
Clara shook her head.
No, that's not true.
Lila's voice became sharper.
You forged documents. You betrayed my family. You thought we were gone, but we were watching.
The truth hit like a storm,
But that's not all.
Lila said. She turned to Daniel.
This wedding will not happen.
Why?
He asked, confused.
Because your wealth, your life, your future was built on stolen money, and I'm taking it back.
At that moment, a group of men walked in, dressed in suits. They looked serious and professional.
My legal team.
Lila said. Documents were placed on the table. Proof, evidence, everything. Clara collapsed into a chair. Vanessa looked around in panic. Daniel stepped back slowly.
It's over.
Lila said quietly.
But here is what shocked everyone.
She looked at the workers. The ones who laughed, the ones who mocked her, the ones who ignored her pain.
I forgive those who were kind,
She said, and there was silence.
and I remember those who were not.
Tears filled some eyes. Regret filled the room. Lila turned to Clara.
You had everything, and you still chose cruelty.
Clara said nothing, because there was nothing left to say. Lila turned and walked away, not as a maid, not as a victim, but as a woman who took back her life. Days later, the story spread everywhere. People talked, news channels reported, social media exploded. The maid who was a billionaire. But Lila did not celebrate. She rebuilt. She restored her father's legacy. She helped the poor. She gave jobs to those in need. She became a voice for the voiceless, and she never forgot where she came from, because she remembered every insult, every tear, every moment, and she turned that pain into power. And in the end, the girl they called nothing became everything. Lessons learned from this story is to never judge someone by their position. Never treat people like they don't matter, because the person you ignore today might be the one who changes your life tomorrow. Please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Your support helps this channel grow. Thank you so much for watching.